Okay. Hello, good evening. Welcome to CSTD online classroom. Friends, already we had 2 classes yesterday and day before yesterday. We would like to tell our participants some important issues. What we observed, during last 2 days is actually we are conducting this program for lecturers, professors, and other teachers involved in higher education teaching. But all of a sudden, we observed several galaxies, Volvos. All phone names are appearing here. The problem with phone names is, they will be registered, in Zoom platform. Actually, we need to have your own name. Suppose somebody registered, and just their phone name is carrying by Zoom. Somebody 129183. That cannot be a name, right? No, my request to all of you is you please change your phone name with your name. Suppose here one person joined 129183. No, that cannot be a name for an individual or a person. Our technical team also advising whoever is joined with their mobile names, you please change. iPhone is there, Galaxy is there. That kind of names you must change. That is my first instruction to all of you. And the second one is, as yesterday my colleague already informed you, you have to, those who logged in and those who joined in the entire process, all 5 days, they only be considered as the participants, and certificates and whatever it may be, it will be given to those who attended regularly and logged in regularly and attended all the classes. That is second. And the third issue is, we have created 2 WhatsApp groups because huge number of participants registered with us. I think blended learning or CSTD blended. Already, all of you must have got that email. You please visit your mailbox and click that email and accept it. Then only you will get access to our WhatsApp group. Why we have created this 2 WhatsApp groups is we want to share some material. Material on policy, blended learning policy, and also the experts, what they are teaching you, that kind of PowerPoints and additional material they are sharing, and that material also we will share with all of you through this WhatsApp group only. So I request all of you, just you visit your, go back to your email, and from that mail, you join in the WhatsApp group. With these 3 words, I think today we have very distinguished professor, Dr. Deepa Sikand Kauts. She is a professor of education in Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. Madam was, she is very busy. She was very busy for the last 1 week, and she is conducting one workshop at their university. She is a national resource person. Today, she will be with us for the next 2 hours. I request Pallavi Kabde, my colleague, Dr. Pallavi, please introduce Deepaji.
Pallavi, nobody can hear you. Pallavi, you're not audible. From the very start, you were not audible. Still, you're not audible, Pallavi.
Is it okay? Yeah. Good afternoon, one and all. This afternoon, we have with us an eminent educationist, Dr. Deepa Sikand-Potts. I hope I'm audible now to all.
You are audible. You are audible.
Yes?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Dr. Deepa Sikand is Head Department of Education, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. It's my privilege to introduce Dr. Deepa. Dr. Deepa is postgraduate in education, English and psychology, and PhD in education from Punjab University, Chandigarh. Currently, she's serving as a teacher educator and has 27 years experience of teaching in university and college at both undergraduate and postgraduate level. Ma'am has teaching experience in the area of research methodology, educational evaluation, pedagogy, educational psychology, and guidance and counseling. So it's very vast experience in different fields. And ma'am has worked as coordinator in internal quality assurance center and in the examinations branch as well. Ma'am's research focus is on educational development at early childhood care and higher levels, emotional intelligence and coaching, ICT and web-based pedagogy, courseware designing, values and peace education, and various dimensions of teacher education. Ma'am has mentored 10 doctoral researchers, 5 MPhil, and 95 master's dissertations, and has authored over 60 research papers, 24 book chapters, and edited 2 books. And ma'am has delivered several keynote addresses in the different conferences, workshops, and ma'am is also board of studies member. And ma'am has coordinated several workshops and is a frequent speaker in Human Resource Development Center. Ma'am, we are looking forward for your session today. And we are honored that you are today with our capacity building program organized in collaboration with SEMCA. Thank you, ma'am. We welcome you again.
Thank you, Pallavi, for introducing to the participants present on this platform. Grateful to your organization, university, for inviting me as a resource person on a very hot topic these days, blended learning, models of blended learning. Pallavi, am I given the permission to share my screen? Is my screen visible? Pallavi, is the screen visible? Pallavi, am I audible to you all? Is the screen visible? Any of the participants?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You can see your screen.
Fine. So these days, it's a hot topic. Even our national education policy is continuously, the discussions on national education policy are continuously telling the educationals to go for blending. There was a time when we used to talk about teaching designs. Today, the time has come, we have started talking about learning designs. And blended learning, why so? The reason is there. In our country, though the pandemic has taught us to blend. But in developed nations, the blending is their teaching and learning way. All the developed nations, they undertake their classroom teaching learning in the blended mode. And pandemic has compelled us Indians also to go for blending. Now we are really confused. What does blending means? What is blending? When we go and discuss among ourselves, our colleagues, our scholars, our students, all have got different concepts of blending. But as per the National Policy Education 2026, the policy is stressing on the blending of online and offline resources. You talk to psychologists, they talk of some other blending of theories, blending of platforms. If you go to sociologists, they talk of blending of psychological and philosophical and sociological components. So every group, every ism, every person has got his own perspective of blending. But National Policy of Education 2026, that blending learning means we are to blend the online and offline resources. Why? Because the focus of the policy is that all should have equality, and should be productive citizen. Every member is to be productive citizen of the nation. Hence, blending is required. Hence, online and offline resources together have to focus for the national education goals. Not only this, they say to go for the sustainable development goals of education, we have to follow the blended learning in our education. Why blending is coming up? It's a natural byproduct. Byproduct of the information communication technology boom. ICT has given plenty and ample of resources to the market. Even our education system is, I would rather say, it is getting market driven rather than philosophical goals driven. It is getting market driven. So market is helping us to justify even the rationale of using these ICT tools in the field of education. That area where human resources are to be developed. Human is a psychological, sociological entity. A psychological, sociological entity is to be developed through the usage of ICT tools. This is what market-driven forces are making us to believe. So, blending of learning is a natural byproduct of this digital era, this information communication technology explosion era. And to addition to this, Corona has established that these ICT tools can help us in the situations like COVID-19, where everything stopped, got closed, it stopped. But every nation wanted to develop, though bound to the walls. So I would say that blended learning is a natural byproduct or not only of ICT explosion, but also a byproduct of COVID-19 situation. Rather, I would say that a nation like India, started working on blending only after this COVID-19 situation. Before we had ICT tools integration in our education sector, but we were not concerned, we were not very bothered. How should we go about it? Now we all are getting very serious in our classroom that how to go for e-content development, how to go for this digital material, how to go by the various quadrant approaches to develop this digital material. We all are getting worried and concerned. So, blended learning, blended teaching. I'm not saying blended teaching, I'm saying blended learning. It means this is truly now focusing on the learner-centered approach. This is focusing on the active learners' participation, active learning to take place. What is blended learning? You must be, as per your organizers told that you have already attended 2 days on blended learning. You must have undertaken discussions of what is blended learning. So, as per the National Education Policy, blended learning combines both cyber learning and traditional. Now, when we say you have to combine cyber learning and traditional learning, it means the different modes of delivery of cyber learning are to be combined with different modes of delivery of traditional learning. Different learning styles have to be catered through the combination of cyber learning and traditional learning. Learning environment, which is having components of both cyber learning and traditional learning, is to be developed. Not only this, we need to frame the learning outcomes also. Learning outcomes will be different. Earlier, my traditional learning, we had learning outputs. We used to give input, we used to question inputs, and used to get the results in the form of outputs. But now, the things are changing. The blending of learning, of the resources, of the models, of the styles, is leading us to formulate learning outcomes. Hence, what is blended learning? Blended learning means blending of the cyber learning and its resources, models, evaluation to the traditional learning and its resources, models, and styles of learning for the specified learning outcomes. This is blended learning. So we are to blend the two different styles of learning together. It means the learner has to blend two resources together. One is cyber resources, another is traditional resources. Learner has to blend different environments according to his style of learning. Learner may be having a style, visual style, auditory style, kinesthetic style of learning. To suit his style, to maximize learning according to his style, learner has to blend the learning environments. So this is what is blending learning. If you go to the definition of blended learning, it is integration of face-to-face and online learning experiences. It is integration of face-to-face and online learning experiences. The integration has to take place. Now, integration means it is not in units or parts or packets. It has to be smooth. Like one wave moving on the other wave and giving a higher amplitude. Two waves joining together to give a higher amplitude. The two waves are cyber wave and traditional wave of learning. They are combining together to give a higher amplitude of learning outcomes. So this is what integration of face-to-face and online learning resources means for blended learning. In very simple words, what does it mean? It means throughout the years, the way we have been learning in the classrooms, we were being instructed by our teachers, whether it is a concern of knowledge, whether it's a concern of skill. Even if it is a concern of appreciation and laughing and clapping, even that was given direction, that was already directed by our teachers. But the online learning resources have taught us to have our own space, to construct our own knowledge. That is why constructivism is discussed much. This learning theory is discussed much. It could be approach also. It is ism also. So the online learning, the online resources have given space to the learner to own his own potentials, to grow his own potentials, to construct his own knowledge, to have his own viewpoint, to customize his skills, his learning skills, as well as his affective domain learning. Cognitive learning skills as well as his affective domain learning. So, blending is, we are not forcing to blend. Blending is happening. Blending is happening. The online digital resources are available to the learners. Whatever is happening in a traditional classroom, the learners outside the classroom, they are authenticating it through digital resources. Whatever we are teaching in our traditional classrooms, the learner is authenticating it through the digital resources. So blending is happening. The question is, we have to intentionally blend the things for the specified learning outcomes. Why? Why I'm saying intentionally? Because teaching is an intentional activity. Because teaching is an intentional activity, and so is learning. And so is learning. When you're talking of classroom teaching learning processes, the learner is also coming in the class with some focus to learn, with some intention to learn. Of what to learn? The digital resources has given the learner a free space what to learn. But he's coming with the intention to learn. So this is what blending is taking place in the classroom. We are not blending. During pandemic, we didn't know how to blend. But we could feel that the learners are using different applications, digital applications, to convey the messages, to interact among their groups, among their friends, and they were sharpening their new digital skills, which they didn't learn in their traditional classrooms. So blending is taking place. We, the teachers, now must design the intentional blending, keeping in view the learning outcomes. How we can combine the benefits of classroom learning and online learning. Now, being a teacher, how we can combine it? If you're a professor of computer science, how can you combine the benefits of classroom learning and online learning? Now, one focus is very clear, one learning outcome is very clear, that with the establishment of this digitalization, digital era, all must have digital skills. Now you see, even a person who is not having degrees, who is earning his livelihood through certain skill vocation, he's going online to purchase, to sell, to present. As a classroom teacher, it means through online learning, we can develop among our learners all those digital skills. And through offline learning, we can consolidate the knowledge of the discipline among our learners. So, we cannot forego the classroom learning. We cannot say that we have to stop classrooms. We should not go to classrooms. No. If you look at the true definition of blended learning, it speaks that the learner and the teacher has to be on the same platform. They can use different tools to interact. It's not necessary that they have to sit in one class. They have to be on the same platform. That is one component that you can sit at your place and learn. But that we have categorized under asynchronous mode. We'll be talking later. But first we have to understand how blended learning has to be intentionally designed. So in a classroom, combining both the benefits, that in classroom, the discipline knowledge could be strengthened, but through online mode, the digital skills acquiring of digital skills, development of digital skills can be strengthened. Second, the self-study, self-regulated learning could be inculcated through online learning. We can initiate learning in our physical classroom. We can initiate the various topics, concepts, phenomena in classrooms, but deep learning can be done through self-regulated learning. So online learning will give a chance to the learner to develop the digital skills, one, and second, to develop self-regulated learning practices. So when the learners will develop the digital skills and self-regulated learning practices, they will move from local learning platforms to global learning platforms. Because we have to develop our learner. The learning outcome is we have to develop our learner to sustain their development, to have lifelong learning habits. This outcome can be achieved by the online learning resources. So hence, the classroom and online learning benefits are combined together. And with the intention to achieve the learning outcomes. What is included in blended learning? Everything and anything. Blended learning could include all these, or could include any of the two, could include any of the three. It is not essential that blending includes every component. We can have face-to-face classrooms and then discussion forums online. We can have face-to-face classroom and then webinars online. Now see the terminology. Seminars means in physical mode. Webinars means online mode. We can have seminars and webinars together. We can have seminars to consolidate the conceptual understanding and webinars to understand the perspectives, the aspects of that particular concept. So when we say seminars, it means we are restricted to our region, to our classroom, to our area, to our place. But the moment we say webinar, it means we are going across the globe. Now, when we say we are going across the globe, it means our learner must know what are the requirements to become a global learner, to become a global questioner, to become a global presenter. They must know. Because when you are going global, it means the people from different disciplines, across the ages, across the backgrounds, across the cultures are sitting in your webinar. So you need to understand this. What is included in blended? Now, blending could be virtual learning and webinars. Now, see, virtual learning is also online. Webinar is also online. We are given the understanding that blending has to be offline and online. That is one. That is the, what you call the traditional way of understanding the blending. But in present context, when we look, blending could be virtual learning taking place and webinars also held on the concepts, on the phenomena which are discussed in virtual learning classes. You see, there is vast way to blend. We can have blending of multimedia. Now, due to this, multiple platforms of blending, we have to understand what are different models of blending. From there, the models of blending have come. Because there are so many resources which can be blended together. There are so many situations which can be blended. The different types of learners can be blended. The different type of learning styles can be blended. Hence, lots of models have come up for blended learning. The first model is station rotational model. What does it mean? Station rotational model. I think this is the best model as far as my perception is concerned, my practice is concerned. When you teach through Google Classroom, when your learning management system is Google Classroom, then the station rotation model is a very good model to give an enriched experience to your learners. Here, you design activities in such a manner that they develop all the three domains of the learner: cognitive domain, conative domain, affective domain. They develop all the three domains of the learner in station rotation model. Here the learner experiences different stations. When I say different stations, it means one station is in the classroom, face-to-face. Another station is online, digital mode. Another station is discussion forums. And there could be more stations, depending upon the requirement and learning outcomes. Station rotation model. You can have classroom interaction in physical mode. Then you can ask the learners to see some material from online resources, open education resources. Then you can ask the learners to undertake online discussions on the material collected to develop a compact, combined material. It could be related to some problem. It could be related to some concept development. It could be related to some phenomena understanding. So the same learner is passing through different situations: online, offline, and mixture. A few may say that we are comfortable in offline discussion, and few say, okay, we can undertake online. So in the same classroom, we are having the audio video system wherein those who want to undertake discussion online are present online, and those who want to take offline, they are sitting in the seminar room or classroom. Now this is blending in a rotation way. This is station rotation model. Then lab rotation model. Now, lab rotation model means the collaboration is taking place. Collaboration is taking place. The group is doing some lab experiments wherein 2 to 3 disciplines are integrated, and the learners are shifting from one lab to another lab to conduct the experiments, which after the results will be combined to come up with a complete solution to the experiment undertaken. For example, people undertaking experiments in biology and chemistry labs, biochemistry. People undertaking experiments in biology and genetics lab, biology and physics lab. They are having a rotation. Now, this you can go in a physical mode, you can go in online mode. Individual rotation mode. Again, I would say that my conviction is this is again a good model for classroom teaching, because here the learner is given space, his own control over his learning. Individual rotation model. The same learner has to undertake a quiz, has to undertake essay writing, has to undertake discussion, has to undertake project, and has to present all these achievements in an e-portfolio. The same individual is undertaking all these exercises. So e-portfolio is a presentation of blending of the activities in physical mode as well as in online mode. So again, this is very good model for our routine classroom teaching learning. Flipped classrooms. All of us have discussed it a lot during pandemic. All of us must have attended large number of workshops. And many have been defining in a vernacular way, flipping of classrooms means upside down the classroom. Turn upside down the class. Now, technically speaking, what is flipping of classroom? If we look at the Bloom taxonomy, even it has changed because of the digital developments. The Bloom taxonomy has started with the steps which are responsible for higher order thinking skills development to be done in the classroom. And the steps responsible for understanding or rote learning or memorizing or getting information to be done outside the classroom. So flipped classroom again, I would say, is a good model for our routine classroom teaching. Because this model helps us. This model helps us to have a control on our syllabus. With so many activities to be undertaken, because there is a stress in national education policy that we have to have community engagement activities. We have to develop learners' engagement. We have to empower learner through various engagement activities. Now, it's getting difficult for a teacher to undertake all those activities as well as to have so much of syllabus in the classroom. So this model of blending helps the teacher to have a control on the syllabus. Now, teacher can do the content analysis of the syllabus and separate those topics which require deep reading for understanding. And teacher can design activities for those topics in the classroom as homework activities. Now, they are not known as homework activities. Now we call them classroom learning activities, classroom engaging activities, learner engagements, and the topics which are given to learners that they have to do on their own. That is again not known as homework. That is known as in-depth home learning. So, what is happening now? Alteration is taking place in the classroom. The homework, assignments, engagements, activities, performances are to be done in the classroom. And understanding of the phenomena, reading of the concepts, collecting the information has to be done out of the classroom at home. Now, when you say out of the classroom at home, how the learner is going to do it? The learner is going to do it through online resources, through open education resources. And here, our responsibility, here the teacher becomes a facilitator. In this model of blended learning, teacher role is a facilitator. Teacher has to facilitate the deep learning. He has to be cautious. He has to tell his learners that these are the open education resources. The open education resources have to be licensed by Creative Commons. The open education resources licensed by Creative Commons can only be used by you if there is a certificate of CC and CC BY. Now, facilitating the learner to receive that material open education resource through which he can develop the understanding of a particular concept, of a particular topic, of a particular phenomena, or he can collect authenticated information, which with the help of teacher, he will be utilizing in the physical mode classroom, or he can go online mode classroom to develop the higher order thinking skills. This is the very good blending model of learning in present classrooms, where the burden is getting heavy every day. Then a la carte model of blending learning design. Well, what is this a la carte model? This is most suitable, I would say, for those learners who are undertaking certain technical graduate courses or technical postgraduate courses, wherein new phenomena and concepts are introduced, and the courses which they are into, they are not able to develop the deep understanding of these new courses. For example, artificial intelligence. For example, cybercrime laws. For example, e-content development. For example, embedding of psychological principles and pedagogical principles. For example, development of MOOC course. So, all these are new things for a learner. He might have joined a degree, but still in the classroom, he is not able to develop that understanding. So here, the learner goes online for some course to enrich, to help his experiences, which he is having at his own learning center. This is a la carte model. And the model blending is, for example, my postgraduate students, most of them, when they come from humanities background, they lack research skills. I would say statistics skills more. They lack those statistical skills and then research skills. Then I try to find out 1 credit or 2 credit MOOC course delivered by some professor of research methodology or statistics available on any of the platform. And ask them to join that course. Now, by joining that course, my students, they learn and they strengthen the experiences they are getting in the department, in their classroom. They broaden their horizon for that particular learning experience. They start learning how to conceptualize research problems, how to design research problems, how to correlate the statistical techniques required for a particular design, how to understand the parameters of population. Now, all these, although they are being taught in the classroom, still, few of them having science background who have already done certain projects are ahead of the other students from humanities background. So they are given an open education resource access to enrich their experiences of the classroom. This is again a very good model of blending. Then enriched virtual model. This model, I would say, will help the science teachers. Why I'm saying that? Because once the things went online, and during pandemic, we tried to reach all corners of the country. The most difficult part which we found were the science experiments, science laboratory works, field experiments, field laboratory works, field works. It was found to be most difficult because there was not sufficient resources available to undertake. And the virtual model, the virtual laboratories, virtual classroom laboratories, science laboratories, experiments, virtually experiments which are taking place. Now, when the learners, they were made to visit those virtual classes and correlate the face-to-face learning session with the virtual classes, they performed better. And sometimes it happened so that the learner was asked to go to virtual classrooms, conduct the lab experiments there, and then need not come to the classroom, but sit at his own place and report. So, combination of virtual working, virtual learning with remote working, remote learning. So this is a good blending for those teachers who are having learners from such places where there is paucity of resources to conduct experiments, to undertake field experiments or laboratory experiments. Then project-based model. Again, a very popular model, and we have been undertaking it in our postgraduate classes. But with the launch of National Education Policy, policy says that the projects should be given to class 5th, 6th, 7th onwards, because the new concepts like artificial intelligence, coding, development of apps cannot be understood if it doesn't start at a very early stage of learning. So, project should be given both in online and face-to-face mode. The learner should be given freedom to complete the project, partially by visiting the fields, partially by conducting the experiments in the field, partially by getting a support from digital resources. The project-based model of blending. It's a very common model. We have been using it, but we were using it at the higher learning centers. Now, National Education Policy speaks that it should start at the early stages of learning. Project-based learning should be undertaken by every teacher. So as I told you, the rotation model, a la carte, flipped, and now project-based. This should be part and parcel of every teacher in the classroom. Every teacher in his classroom teaching learning should develop the blended material on the basis of these models. And project-based model should be given to the learners to develop their engagement in the society, not for the understanding of the concept, but for the practical implication of the concept in their daily life. That's very important. So project-based model should blend both online and offline resources. The freedom should be given to the learner, not only to blend the resources, but to blend his time, the scheduled time and the free time, to look for the real life solutions to the real life problems through these projects. That should be the focus. Project-based model should should also be based on blending of the abstract and the real. Knowledge is abstract, but when it is practiced, when it is used in some engagement, it becomes real. So project-based model should be made a part of every teacher in his teaching learning classroom. Then self-directed model. Now we all are on this platform. Although I have been invited here, but you came on your own to participate. And I also accepted the invitation on my own. So you all came to participate. So you are using this online medium to learn on your own way. So this is self-directed model. This is self-directed model. This should be used by the teachers when they want to inculcate the habit, inculcate the skill of lifelong learning. So when it is lifelong learning, then the learner can go digital also, can go in physical mode also, but it depends truly on his wish and will, and not on any compulsion. Self-directed model, sometimes you learn so many things online and you do not undertake the examination for that particular online learning course because you have the intention to enhance your skills, to enhance your foundational knowledge, to enhance your transactional knowledge, to enhance your attitudinal base, belief, but not to have a certificate. So this is self-directed model. Now, it is useful for teachers, wherein the teachers want to inculcate lifelong learning skills among their learners. It is helpful for the learners who want to improve themselves, who want to make themselves accomplished personalities. So self-directed model is used there. Supplement model, very common thing which we are doing. Supplement model, we supplement face-to-face with online, online with face-to-face. Either we have online environment around us or we have face-to-face environment around us. We supplement the model. So this much part we will do in face-to-face mode. This much part of the syllabus will be in online mode. We are like, I'm having one course in my department. It is 60-40 days. So the projects, the examinations, the seminars, they are all in offline, face-to-face, where they have to undertake discussions. They have to show their results. They have to, motivate themselves by interacting with each other in a physical mode. And 60% is online, where the open education resources are shared with them so that they undertake reading, then writing, then discussing, and coming with the report presentation in physical mode. So, supplement model. This is very good for the courses which are helpful for all those who are earning their livelihoods and they can't come to the regular classroom. Outside-in model, this and inside-out model. These both models are very useful for a teacher who is trying to blend, who is doing blending learning, who is preparing for blended learning. Outside-in model means experiences are planned in a non-academic physical and digital environment, and students use daily to finish their classrooms. Inside-out model, where learning experiences are planned to finish beyond the physical classrooms. Now, what does it mean? Outside-in model. Now, we ask them to go outside in the field, consult the industries, consult online available industries, consult physical mode, in physical mode also, in online mode also, come with the inputs related to the curriculum or the course they are undertaking. Whereas in inside-out model, the learning experiences are extended. Sitting in a classroom, learning the concepts, understanding the concepts, and then realizing the concepts in the field. Inside-out model. Realizing the concepts in the field. So even these two models for blending is good when teacher is trying to complete the syllabus. We generally give that whenever there is inter-semester break, the students will visit these institutions either online or offline, will understand the functioning, the structures, and will try to find out with the institution in which they are studying how they are different, and will try to develop a case study. Now, this is inside-out model, where inter-semester breaks are being used for these purposes, and students are given liberty to go offline or online. And outside-in model, the students are already performing in their vocational skills. So they can join after having 6 months of experience in the field. They can join the particular course, get its discipline understanding, appear in the examination, and go with the certificates. So these two models are also very good models for teachers to blend the resources to help the learners to have quality learning. So what activities can be performed in blended learning? The two types of activities are being performed in blended learning. One is synchronous. Synchronous is time coordinated. Synchronous means you have to follow some discipline, certain rules, certain platforms. You are having a time frame. You are having a content frame. You are having an activity frame. Synchronous. It could be online. It could be offline. Offline means in classrooms. Online means on digital portals. And then asynchronous. Asynchronous means they are independent of the time. Asynchronous mode means you are given liberty, learner is given liberty to learn at his own time, at his own pace, at his own place, at his own way. So sometimes teachers can have the recorded lectures and the recorded lectures access can be given to students who could not attend the classes in face-to-face mode. And students are at free will to listen to those recorded lectures and note down the discussion points. Recording of lectures is, of course, a very judicious and cumbersome job. But it helps the teacher to connect to the classroom learner all the time. The classroom learner does not feel absent from his learning. It doesn't feel a gap in his learning. It doesn't get a vacuum created in his learning. Being a human being, you can miss certain classes. There could be certain compulsions. Then we can have asynchronous activities which help us to connect and complete the learning. So, asynchronous activities could be recorded lectures, could be recorded videos, could be recorded podcasts, could be any presentations, could be Google Slides, could be a storyboard. Any resource can be used for asynchronous mode. This is the blended learning setting. The synchronous and asynchronous learning together. So again, it is very important for a teacher to understand if he is to take any model of blended learning, the 11 models which I told you, out of these, you can have one model, you can have 4 models blended together for your activities, for your classroom learning. But blended learning setting requires different activities taken together for a common learning outcome, for a specific learning outcome. There could be lecture, that could be web-based, that could include watching videos and then performing online assignments. This could be one setting. The second setting could be, there could be discussion, there could be virtual class where the discussion is taking place. Then there could be quiz after the discussions, and then again online assessment. This could be another learning setting. These learning settings depend upon the outcomes you have decided for. If the outcome is habit formation, then the learner setting will be in directional form. If the outcome is construction of knowledge, then the learner setting will be in project-based form. If the outcome is both, then the learner setting will include both the activities. So it depends upon the learning outcomes. It depends upon the learning outcomes, that what is your outcome and how the various learning activities you are going to combine, collaborate, you are going to negotiate, cognitive negotiability, and one more thing, apprenticeship. So, depending upon the outcomes, you decide about what type of learning setting you require. then Khan, who is given by Jews. He suggested 8 factors while planning blended learning. You can customize these factors according to your requirement. You can customize, you have to decide which class you are focusing for, what outcomes you have for that particular class. You can customize. You can say instead of institution, you say which class. Instead of institution, you say which class. And then you say what outcomes. What outcomes. Then the strategy. Which model? Which blended model? You can customize technology. Which digital tools and OERs. You can design. Then interface design. Which collaborative strategies. And evaluation. Online or offline or open book or e-portfolio. Management. Which learning management system. Let me write short. Providing resources. Print or resources. Ethics. Taking care of plagiarism and C. That is copyright. Okay. Rights. Now, can't it give all this? But we can customize as per our requirement. When you customize, you have to focus at which classes you are talking about and what. This very first point will give direction to all these points. This is how you can go for these 8 factors while planning your blended learning. What are the drivers of blended learning? I mean, how you can have the best? What factors you have to take care while doing the blending? Is most important factor, although I've written so many here, the most important factor of blending is one is improving the ability to personalize learning. This. And the second is improving the students' engagement and motivation. Now see, when I say, although I've written so many factors, see these 2 factors. Focus on these 2 factors. You will find when we say ability to personalize learning, when we say that, it means we are talking of individual learning. It means we are trying to work for the learner's improvement, potential, skills, attitudes, behaviors building. And when we say improve students' engagement and motivation, the moment we say improvement students and motivation, it means we are talking of how we will improve students' engagement with the help of resources, with the help of providing extended resources to them, with the help of teachers as well facilitators, with the help of improving the conditions for them so that they keep motivated. When they get feedback, they get accomplishments, they get enriching of resources as their rewards, they are getting motivated. So they are, these 2 are the prime drivers of blended learning. So when you are trying to blend, you have to focus on this, that what your learners are going to learn. Not on the focus that what you are going to teach. What your learners are going to learn. And through that learning, and for that particular learning, how you are going to use the learning resources, how you are going to improve the conditions, how you are going to present a good environment, how you are making the students adopting the digital world, how your learners will be motivated, what type of engaging activities you will present them, so that the paucity of digital resources also are taken care and they do not affect the performance of the learners. So knowing blending, what is blending, how blending can take place, what are the different models of blending, what are the best ways of blending. You know all these, but all these will not be fruitful if you do not realize that what your learners want to learn and how you're going to empower your learners through students' engagement and motivation. How you are going to empower your learners through students' engagement and motivation. This is very important. Then Carol Trucker has given few tips to use the blended learning. One is, it should be small steps. Yes, I realize that when you are going for blending, you should have small accomplished steps. Your script for blending should be written in the form of frames, and every frame should be complete in itself. So that will make a very effective learning. Second is, while doing blending, you have to be overcautious for which technologies you will be using, because you have to keep in mind the digital divide. What technology you are going to use? When you plan your blending learning lesson, you have to specify the technology which you will be using and the resources which you will be presenting to your learner. So while going for blending learning designs, the most important is the script should be in small units, script to be in small steps, and each small frame, not steps, I'm sorry. It should be frame, and each frame to be complete in itself. So this should be the focus when you are writing your template. This should be the focus. Rest all, when you plan, you design, you keep interacting with your template, you keep modifying it, you keep in view what is the learner's background, what are the resources available, to which group to which digital divide group these learners belong to. You keep noting that. But the fundamental is that it should be in a small frame, and each frame should be completed itself. What are the specific skills required among teachers to undertake blending? One is digital media creation and usage. Another is adaptive software. Another is social media tools, mobile devices, digital content, and the blended learning design models. Now, these skills which is required. I believe you must have undertaken so many workshops to understand the 4-quadrant approach to develop the courses in blended learning. Let me stop here, and I would like to know how you have been blending in your classrooms, because the pandemic has taught us how to undertake blending teaching. The there is a paradigm shift from blended teaching. We have moved to blended learning. So I would like to know that how you are shifting from blended teaching to blended learning in your classrooms. Anybody of you? Or Pallavi, if there is any query from the participants. I don't.
Yes, ma'am. We request the participants to kindly post in the chat box. Ma'am, do you want them to speak, ma'am?
No, they can post also. I don't mind if they can unmute, because I believe to all you have not given permission to unmute them.
Yeah, but if they can raise their hands, ma'am, we can unmute them.
Yes. Dear participants, I would like that I have talked at length to you regarding blending and the conditions. So if you have got something to share, or how you are doing blending in your classroom, I would like to know that. You must be seeing a slide which is presented to you in that context only, because there is no fixed formula for technologies and blending. And if you've conducted any experiments in your classroom, how the blended mode, the learning took place, and earlier you had problems, and now the performance and the outcomes are wonderful. You could share your experiments if you have conducted that. Else, I will share with you that how I'm doing blending in my courses, in my programs, in my classrooms, and even in my examination, evaluation. And today only, I have started with one more blended. I've started working on one more blended way of evaluation for the special children, special learners who are coming for undergrad courses. I'm having a BSc. Joyit, please put off your video, as you are not able to stable your video. Please put off that, Joyit. Thank you, Pallavi. In online mode, you have to be. There are certain decorums for online mode as well. We have to be overcautious while presenting, because it is being presented on the platform, and these digitates are very important for online mode of teaching and learning. So I was telling you that today only I've started working on the blended mode of evaluation for the special learners. I'm having a course of Bachelor of Science, honors course in early childhood care education. It is a 4-year course, degree course, with multiple entry exits as per given by National Policy of Education 2020. So in that course, I realized that 3 candidates want to take admission who are having multiple disabilities. And now the blended learning is coming to the rescue of those candidates. Blending is becoming very, very fruitful for the special learners. And there was a meeting, and our dean also felt that how we are going to admit that, because the with multiple disabilities, teaching multiple disabilities is a different story. Handling multiple disabilities in your classroom and evaluating and giving them degrees is a different platform, is a different story. So since I was working on blending, and I thought it is good opportunity to find out the blending of the resources for the evaluation of such type of plans. So this is my new experiment, which I'll be conducting most probably. This year, I'll be admitting those students to my undergrad course, honors course, and I'll be devising a way to evaluate these multiple disabled children, learners admitted to my course. So I simply want to tell you that you need to think. Blending has got ample opportunities for improvement of the classrooms. Blending is a platform, gives you a platform where you're right from your slow learner to your creative learner to your innovative learner, the space is available. It gives an opportunity to learners to get self-regulated learning, to get individualized learning, to get personalized learning. So it is a tool in your hand, in the teacher's hand, how to create a blending learning design for the learners. So everything depends how effectively you blend. And one more thing, it's not necessary that you should know how to develop a video, how to go for screencastify, to develop a video, how to go for e-content development for different platforms, from different platforms, how to develop these, how to use digital applications. You should know what your learners want and then try to go online, find out the open education resources. Plenty of resources are available in the form of YouTube videos, in the form of audios, in the form of blogs, in the form of lectures, in the form of courses. They are openly accessible by everybody. You can use them directly in your classroom and make the blending very, very effective. Right? So this I have shared with you. I share one more experience with you. I'm having a diploma course in early childhood care education as well. That is a part of my exit program of Bachelor of Science. If somebody wants to leave the program in between under some compulsion, either going abroad or having some issues at family level or financial circumstances. So after completing 1 year of my Bachelor of Science, I gave the diploma certificate to them. And I am developing that option that after diploma, if the learner wants to shift in a blending mode of course, he is able to shift. That while working, he can have classes at night, but in a asynchronous mode. So my department has started working for the development of those materials, and I'm experimenting also. Blending is not established. And one more thing I would like to tell you, it cannot be established because every day so much of innovations and creations are coming up in the field of digital world that the things which are very meaningful today, they become redundant. I did my computer assisted instruction doctorate in computer assisted instruction in 94. In 1994, I created digital content. That time it was not known as e-content or digital content. It was known as content to be delivered through computers, computer-assisted instruction. The content was delivered in an asynchronous mode because there was no internet connectivity. There was no internet as such in 94, I'm talking about. In 94, I got the degree. It was 92, 93 experiment. So that time, I developed a program, and I never had so many, there was no Google application, something like that. We have to follow computer language to develop the programs. I developed the program in sciences. And it came out to be very effective in terms of not performance, that was there. But it came up wonderful in terms that the role of intelligence reduces when your instruction becomes more structured and outcome-based. Very interesting. So this was wonderful result. But if I compare today, that is all redundant. The material development was done with the help of COBOL language in asynchronous mode. It was stored on COBOL on CDs. A very different type of CDs used to come that time. And we used to play those CDs along with the compilers in the computers to teach the students. I used to do that in every school, in every institution. But today, the things have totally changed. It has become a history. So when you talk of blending, that was also blending because, there I never had any very specified graphics app to present pictures or photos. Then I had to take a printed matter with me. So some of the lesson was supported through computers and some of the material was supported in a print form. So blending, but I didn't know the word blending. Even students didn't know blending. So what I want to say is that in this world of digital era, in this world of digitization, whatever inventions, creations, innovations happen, they become redundant after some time. So we cannot have a fixed formula for blending. So we have to be very clear in stating the learning outcomes, which will be guideline for our blending of resources. This is how I am experimenting two things at my department. And I again repeat, blending is helpful for all types of learners, for creative learners, and for slow learners, for special learners. Although the average learners, they have different type of benefit from blending. The nature of errors, they change for the average type of learners. For creative learners, the blending is a boom for them. They get vast platform for their creations. For the slow learners, blending is a boom for them. They get their own personal space where they work on their pace to perform, to learn. And for average learner, the nature of errors change. The nature of errors change. The errors in terms of analyzing, in terms of synthesizing, in terms of evaluating, in terms of observation, in terms of reporting, they change. So see how blending is helping all learners with different angles. So I believe, Pallavi ji, I think
Yes, ma'am.
let me stop here. And in case there are any observations or questions or queries from your participants, I would love to help.
Yes, ma'am. There is one participant, Dr. Shamshad, ma'am. They have shared their experience, like when you have asked about the blended learning experience, whether they had. So we teach using cell phones or laptops of students in the classroom, while also teaching in a chalk, blackboard, and talk method. This is what madam has posted here, madam. And there is a query, ma'am, from Dr. K. Janardhan. What are the challenges in the view of retaining of teaching regular services once session is recorded?
What are the challenges?
In the view of retaining of teaching.
Retaining of teaching
services once session recorded. It is something like this.
Would you please ask him to unmute and specify what he wants to ask?
Yes. Dr. Janardhan, can you please ask the question to ma'am? I'll unmute you. Ma'am, you can close this, your presentation, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Yes.
Janardhan, sir. You can unmute yourself, sir. I think sir is not here, ma'am. There is another observation that 50% offline and 50% online student strength, internet connection is a problem. When we try to explain something on the whiteboard, online students objected to such practices. So this is one observation made, ma'am.
When we say 50% offline and 50% online student strength, okay, you want to say that you have given a choice to the students that they can go either offline or online. See, when you are giving this choice to the students that they can go online or offline, it means you're teaching, the design of teaching supports both the modes of learning, online and offline. It's really difficult because it means you are having whole of your teaching for offline mode and whole of your teaching for online mode. One. And then internet connection is problem sometimes. No, it is not sometimes. It is many a times it is internet problem. And when we try to explain something on whiteboard, then what happens? When we try to explain something on whiteboard, online students objected to such practices. No. See, when you will take up the classes this way, that I'll come to Janardhan Reddy's question as well. When you take up the classes this way, that online and then offline, all are sitting together. No. That will create a hodgepodge in your class. All can, offline and online mode groups can come for discussions. They can, if you can tell the online mode students to use Jamboard as their blackboard. And you can use whiteboard for your offline students. And they can use Jamboard for their online learning. If you can give them a suggestion.
Hello? Madam, now I am able to.
Yes, please. Yes.
Regarding actually in India, we don't have any reward system once record the session actually. there is no such practices in India.
No.
Once we deliver any lecture,
Mm-hmm.
it can be reused by the same course or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
How can we retain that regular services as a fraternity of teaching mainly in an Indian education system?
Mm-hmm.
That's my question actually.
Okay. See, when you say we do not have a system in India for recording, I'm sorry, it's not like this. Even this talk is being recorded, and I think it's going live stream as well. And as far as I was referring to recording of lectures, I was referring to that you should record on either presentation tube, so that or on Loom, and then it should be given it should be presented to the students in offline mode, or the recordings can be sent to the students, and or you may upload on YouTube, and then the URL link can be given to the students where they can listen to your lectures. It is very much there. It's not like this. We have been recording. We are doing recordings. All these lectures on SWEM portal are being recorded only. And we can practice, we can do in our classroom as well.
Ma'am, there is a query, ma'am, from D. Janardhan Reddy.
Yeah,
What is the
role of teacher / facilitator in station rotation model? See, when it is station rotation model, it is the teacher who has to plan the activities, whether which activity the student will take up in online mode, which activity the students can take up in offline mode, which activity the students can take up in discussion mode. So it is the teacher who has to plan all the activities, and he has to present it to the students, and the liberties with the students to select which activity they want in which mode. So in a way, the whole of the engagements are to be framed in all the modes. And teacher has to give liberty to the student, because we are trying to cater to the learning style of the learner. So it is basically designed for learner. It's a learning design. Paradigm shift has taken place. It's a learning design. Hence, the teacher's role is not a facilitator here. The role of a teacher is to plan, to design, and to present to the learner. And then the learner is given the liberty, the freedom to accept which activities he wants to frame.
Ma'am, there is another question from Naushad Begum ji. What are the different tools for e-assessment?
What are the different tools for e-assessment?
Actually, we have another session, ma'am, for this e-assessment.
Okay.
So we will discuss.
Generally, Pallavi, we have been undertaking web quests. But I believe that they are not the best tools for e-assessment. We should help our learners to develop e-portfolios. Again, there will be a paradigm shift in assessment, It will not be teacher-directed assessment. It is not the teacher who has to, give the questions and then assess the answers. It will be the outcomes decided by the teachers, that these are the outcomes which are expected if you go through this particular course, this particular paper, this particular program, this particular course. And it is the learner who will be developing e-portfolio, wherein he will be telling what he has done, what he has learned, and how he establishes that he has learned. That e-portfolio will be developed for the assessment purpose. Otherwise, we are having web quests, we are having online examination, which I believe, which I personally have seen, that it is not very effective. It does not give you the true evaluation assessment of the learner.
So there is one of the observation being shared by Mr. Kishore Babu, that in most of the cases in the offline mode, there is attendance is very low when compared to the online. when there is a 50-50 offline and online classes?
Bilkul theek observation. It's a correct observation that the attendance is a big question when it is in offline mode. But I tell you, attendance is a big question in online mode as well. You simply join, you find that your learners simply join. And when you ask your learners to put on their videos, or you ask your learner to respond to your issues, your concerns, sometimes they are not present. Although they are connected. So it's not a question of presence in online or offline. Both ways they have got ways, to bunk. In offline, in online mode, it is very easy to bunk. You just join the link and then you are not there. You're enjoying your cup of coffee or your snacks or movie even. I have personally experienced with my, engineering students, personally experienced that. So
thank you so much, ma'am. I really appreciate, ma'am, your efforts which you have shared with us, that for the special learners, you have made a lot of efforts in the developing the course development and all. It's really very appreciable, ma'am. And also it's very great to know that you have done the digital content course right back in 1994, which is like beyond imagination. So we can say you're one of the pioneers in India, we can say, ma'am, and we are very fortunate to have you in our session. And I'm sure all the participants, they are highly benefited by your session. And really, as you see the feedback, there are a lot of positive feedback is there, ma'am. The session was really wonderful. And on the behalf of Ambedkar Open University Center for Staff Training and Development and SEMCA, we thank you for your valuable time and very interesting insights, ma'am, which you have shared during this session. Thank you, ma'am. With this,
thank you, Pallavi. There is another query from Mr. Prasad. Ma'am, do we have any blended model for physically challenged? Yes, we do not have as such blended model, but our one of my fellow is working to develop that as well. I'm having multiple disabilities program in my department, given by Rehabilitation Council of India. And under that, we are trying to develop this blended learning design for physically handicapped also, because there are number of other factors are being taken. Psychological factors are more effective than the other, design material factors. So we are working on it. So thank you for inviting me. And
so we are looking forward for tomorrow's session, ma'am. A design of blended learning lessons by you.
Yes.
Is there any practical component, ma'am, in this?
Yeah, I'm having certain few templates which will be discussing, and I would expect that all your participants come with some topics or content or materials on which they can experiment these templates designing.
So that's really very wonderful, ma'am. So we are looking forward for tomorrow's session. So with this, I thank all the participants for your very actively participation in this session. So we are looking forward for the same in the coming sessions as well. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Pallavi.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening to all present on the platform.
Good evening all.